Hello, friends, and welcome back to Stories About Entitled People. The first story is about a boss who lost his job because he didn't listen to our OP. But before we begin, don't forget to subscribe to our channel if you're new here and turn on notifications so you don't miss a new video every single day. Here we go. 10K in groceries. So this is a story from about a year ago when I was a front-end manager in a grocery store. Typically, I worked night shifts as the manager, and it was me and one other employee. We'd be the only people in the store, so if a cake order came in, it was on me. If meat needed to be sliced, it was on me. If hardware malfunctioned, relevant, it was on me. You should know that the building this grocery store was in was built in the 40s. It was part of a chain of grocery stores and was the first one on the East Coast. Being as old as it was, structural, safety, and mechanical issues arose rather frequently. For example, when it would snow, our roof would sink in the middle and leak, resulting in a work order called in to corporate by me. When it would rain hard, various parts of the ceiling would leak, another work order. The freezers in the aisles were about 30 years old, so if they went down, work order. Well, the store manager got annoyed with me calling in so many work orders, claiming that they made us look bad to corporate. He commanded me not to place any more, no matter what. I said I would agree, but only if he would give me it in writing that my job duties were being changed. He complied. 2 nights later, one of our customers comes to my counter telling me the stuff in our front freezers are defrosting, getting soft and whatnot. I check it, they were right. So full panic mode, about 15 freezer units down. Remembering I'm no longer allowed to call a work order, I leave my checker in the front and begin transferring everything to the back freezers, one shopping cart at a time. 4 hours later, it's all in the back, then the back room freezers go down. I call my boss, begging him to let me call it in. Over 10K in merchandise is going to be lost. He tells me not to call in, he'll do it tomorrow through a separate line that won't make us look bad, won't count as a work order. Tells me since everything was cold when it went in there, that room will keep it cold even without the freezer units working. He was wrong. 3 hours later, we have water leaking out of the back and into the store from all the defrosting goods. So I just laugh. Me and my checker start grabbing every wet floor sign, every mop we can find, and arranging them. We then go to the 7-Eleven and some other nearby stores where we knew the managers, telling them what was happening and asking if we could borrow theirs. They comply, so I go up to my boss's office, which overlooks the store, and over the phone relay to my checker how to arrange the signs and mops to spell out work orders, save stores. We had to use some water cases and whatnot to finish the message, but got it done. Both of us left our quitting notice on his desk, clocked out, went home. I was almost expecting you to say, and then I called in a work order with all the above information included and sent photos of the store to corporate. And our second story. Karma is a bee, and I am my own karma. So this happened at the end of 2015, beginning of 2016. I had a best friend who really started to irritate me, condescend me, insult me, etc. when he became what we call a shift manager. I ignored it for some time, thinking that it wasn't really easy for him, having to take care of us a lot in the factory where we worked in. And this is where he really ticked me off. First, I want you to understand that I'm not the type of person you can trash talk, insult, screw his life up, and not expect 3 times worse to come back. So back to the story. We had some new stuff that came to the factory on which we should work, inner molds for car engine parts, and the guy who was there to teach us how to work on the mold didn't manage to teach my dear friend how to work on these molds because the guy, friend, was so full of himself and egoistic that the other guy just gave up after a few days. And here's where my friend taught me how to process the mold, which was, surprise, surprise, incorrect. So the day after I get a call from the plant supervisor, cool lady, we still contact from time to time, that my molds are all effed up and that I need to come down immediately to fix them because the CEO was furious. I knew what happened. That B-turd of a friend told her and the CEO that I didn't listen to what he was telling me, that I did everything opposite what he told me to do with the molds. I was furious. Then I was told, as a last resort, that I needed to fix everything from yesterday, which means to come to work 3 hours prior, stay 3 hours later, and come the next morning 2 hours before everybody else. Of course, that's all non-paid, so it's like a big F you to me. Insult to injury part, after the CEO and the plant supervisor lady left, My friend starts to laugh at me, insulting me, and even kicking me over my head. Consider that normally I'm a nice person, I don't like what I can become, and there's a fact I endured this bullcrap for 3 months. That's when I snapped. I kicked him in the face, plexus, and nuts because there was nobody there at the time to witness the escalation. I scratched my face so that it looked like he attacked me, and I start yelling, "Help, help!" The two from before came back just as the B-turd was standing up, and I told them what happened and that I quit effective immediately. Not just for this, but also because the paycheck was late again. The day after my mom picked me up, we loaded my stuff into the car and went home. Not a long time passes by, this friend calls me to apologize and return my stuff that I left in the apartment and my money, about 350 euros, which I lent to him. I said, "Fine, you can come by." By the time he came, I was home alone, and he threw my stuff on the wet asphalt in front of my flat and told me, "You're not getting your money back." I just told him, "We'll see about that," and then he started to threaten me over Facebook, that he'll F up my mom's car brakes, that he'll stab me, etc. But not longer after that, the lady from the factory contacted me. She told me that the B-turd quit his job and stole money from her purse, 600 euros approximately, and that she wants to find him. Of course, I know where he lives. A few days later, the lady picks me up and we head out to his place. As we approached his driveway, he tried to drive out, so she blocks him and I rush outside, but his parents, which are really nice people, ask me not to do this and beg me to come inside the house. Inside, the parents, tell me that they'll give me and the lady money, which we refuse. Because he's the one who stole or loaned from us, he promises to pay us back on the next month. For later, his parents told me that he works now in a factory where we worked before this job, and his license plates, insurance, and technical on the car were expired. The next month, I contact him over Facebook to ask him, "Where's my money?" And he tells me, point blank, "Go F yourself. You're not getting anything from me. You can call the cops, but you'll never see the money." That's exactly what I did. I placed an anonymous call to the police station near where he lives, gave the license plate, because I remembered it vividly, car description, and that he almost crashed into us and was speeding well above the limit. The next day, I found out over some of our mutual friends that he was chased after by the police, arrested, driver's license revoked for 2 years, and had to pay a fine of 3,000 euros, plus the car was impounded. I told the lady from the factory that he was arrested and else, without the part where I snitched on him, and she was, well, satisfied. I didn't tell anybody about this, but I was just filled with joy. I know he was now effed up, and surely he lost his job and his parents disowned him. That's what you get for treating your friends like crap. Very nicely done. Shame you didn't get your money back, but it was probably worth it. And our last story. Try to take my job away? Quit in glory. At 7 months pregnant, we knew my wife wasn't going to return to work after maternity leave, but she had planned on working right to the day her water broke. A few months before her due date, there was a restructuring of the organization. She actually got a promotion and a small raise, but her new direct manager was at the corporate level and had never treated my wife with respect in her previous role. Over the next few months, as my wife started a very major project, she kept detailed notes of everything to make sure there was a smooth transition when she went out on leave. At the same time, her new boss started being excessive with micromanaging. It finally got to the point that the director, we'll call Patrice, because gee damn it, Patrice, started slowly pulling responsibilities away from my wife. To us, it looked like she was trying to position my wife's role to be eliminated when she was on leave. By law, they only had to have a comparable role when she came back, not the exact same position. It finally reached a head when Patrice called my wife into HR to formally reprimand her. Allegations included bad attitude, unprofessional conduct, and outright lying to coworkers. After talking it over, my wife and I decided to say F them, and she gave her 1 week notice the next day. Crap hit the fan, and there was a lot of questions, especially from coworkers and management above Patrice. My wife just said that with her upcoming leave, she felt it best to exit now. Then there was the transition meeting. She called in Patrice, her coworkers, her leadership, and the vendor that was involved in the project. During that meeting, my wife went through all the project plans to date with a very specific timeline of the project. This timeline included things like notes from previous meetings of what was stated, validation emails from Patrice, requests for meetings to which Patrice declined or simply no-showed. There was the introduction of the new processes that Patrice put into place, which proved to drastically delay many checkpoints. My wife told me after the showing the third example of late delivery due to Patrice's lack of response or sudden need to include her friends in the project for feedback, it was apparent to everyone in the room that Patrice was the reason that everything was running behind schedule and over cost. The last slide my wife presented was the last update, the official complaints Patrice had filed with HR with refuting evidence. My wife told me that Patrice was equally furious and embarrassed, and leadership decided to pull the project from her. My wife left her contact info and let them know she'd be available for consulting at competitive rates, finished her 1-week notice, and left. Did she drop the mic at the end of the presentation? I imagine she had one in her purse after the last slide. Hey guys, thank you all for watching the video. I'll see you in the next one.